right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Belvedere City Council Committee of the Whole meeting of July 14th, 2025. If the clerk will help me with the roll call, please.
Albertini?
Here.
Brereton?
Here.
Fleury?
Here.
Frank?
Here.
Gramkowski?
Here.
Hoynes?
Here.
McGee?
Here.
Montalbano?
Here.
Peterson?
Here.
Stevens?
Here.
10 present.
All right, thank you. And under public comment, we have just one registered, Pam Lopez Fettis with Growth Dimensions. Pam, good evening. I think that mic's on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for giving me this time to share my thoughts. I'm here this evening to discuss the agenda item number 6B, Growth Dimensions funding request. Growth Dimensions had made a request for 2025 FY fiscal year on March 3rd, 2025, in a letter to the Belvedere Mayor and City Council. On April 7, 2025, Growth Dimensions reiterated the request during public comment and the Belvedere Committee of the Whole. This same meeting, under Ordinance 718H and second reading of the fiscal year 26 budget ordinance, Alderman Peterson requested to amend line item number 015-610-6840 and reduce the pledge to Growth Dimensions from $20,000 to $0. After discussion, the motion failed, and the ordinance was approved to include Growth Dimensions economic development in the budget for $20,000. As standard practices, Growth Dimensions invoiced the City of Belvedere on April 9, 2025, as we have every year for the past several years following budget approvals. After non-payment, I brought the invoice in last week, and to my surprise, this was on the agenda tonight. Growth Dimensions has provided services to the City of Belvedere since 1979. You may want to hire an economic development person. In fact, many organizations like ours work with economic development partners with municipalities. This does not, however, replace our role, but rather complements it and allows cities to provide more incentives. Community development is also not economic development. So to bring somebody into the city, good economic development costs an average of $150,000 for salary, plus benefits. You will want to give them a budget for marketing. That's another $20,000, and another to implement systems and softwares, which is about $10,000. And membership associations, attendance at conference meetings to network and maintain credentials. This is another $10,000. So at a minimum, this would cost the taxpayers of the City of Belvedere about $190,000 plus. This is a cost that Growth Dimensions can leverage with other investments that we receive. Growth Dimensions also manages the enterprise zone on behalf of the taxing bodies in Boone County. We are the point of contact for all inquiries about incentives, conduct research and marketing, advantages, benefits, summarize the return on investments, business engagement, determine eligibility for the program, assist with the application, and administer certificates. We set up projects, educate contractors and subcontractors on the application process, modifications, and closing process. We serve as the community easy liaison. We report activity monthly and annually to stakeholders. We manage and report monthly impact. We manage all records and process payment. We evaluate processes and data. We also maintain program eligibility and attend biannual training. We assist and provide guidance for enterprise zone renewals. Most of these projects are directly a benefit to the City of Belvedere. This is a cost of an average of $85,000 to $135,000 per year to administer this program. Yes, businesses do pay a fee, and since 2017, the annual fees range from $15,500 to $91,800. This means we operate the program at a loss of over $60,000 per year to provide it to Boone County and Belvedere. So why do we do this? It's because really it's our mission to attract and grow business and to help with the economic vitality and the quality of life to thrive and to bring revenue and tax to our taxing bodies and to support your infrastructure, your employees, and your services for your constituents. So we ask you again, please approve the invoice for budget item number 015-610-6840 and save your taxpayers $190,000 annually. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pam.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's all we have registered for public comment this evening. Moving along, public forum, we do not have any this evening, and flipping the page to reports of officers, boards, and special committees. Item 1, building, planning, zoning, unfinished business, we have none. Item 2, building, planning, zoning, new business. Item A, building department update. Mr. Countryman, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. June continued to be a busy month. Issued 109 permits. 101 of those were residential, 8 were commercial, for a value of construction just under $3 million. We issued 5 single-family homes. As you can see, the project out by Dodge Lanes is moving forward. For property maintenance, we closed 38 cases in the month of June, and we currently have 18 open. And that ends my report. I'll answer any questions.
All right, if anybody has any questions for Director Countryman, feel free to ask. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Item B, Habitat for Humanity, building and zoning fees for 309 Gilman Avenue. In your packet from Director Countryman to myself and the City Council dated July 8th of 2025 is a request for the council to recommend that the building zoning fees be waived for this project as been done in the past. The estimated fees for the permit to be waived will be $880. And so, for discussion's sake, if I could have a motion to that effect, please. Motion by Alderwoman Frank, second by Alderman Fleury. Thank you both. If there's any questions, any comments, feel free to ask. Alderman Peterson.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a couple questions. Does anybody know, is Habitat for Humanity a 401c3? Is that a charitable operation?
I believe so, yes.
And the other question, do you know, Kip, whether or not is the awardee going to be a city resident? Is there any stipulation that they look to try to do that for a city resident, or can it be anybody?
The owners that I've met in the past, I know a few of them have been residents in town, or their parents were residents of town. I don't know the next buyer that they have for this particular property. I will meet whoever it is in the near future, but to my best of my knowledge, everybody that's bought one of their houses is a resident of Belvedere now.
And then just to piggyback on that, I drove by it today and it looked like they've already had the foundation excavated, and then it looked like, from what I could gather, it looked like maybe they've already made a decision on who the buyer is gonna be. It looked like they indicated on the sign, or no?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a sign up there yet. There's a big pile of dirt though, but yeah, they're trying to get it in before the cold weather hits and get it under roof, and probably spring sometime it'll be done.
Okay. Is that all, Alderman Peterson? You know, I will say this. I do think the point you bring up is valid. You know, I mean, the city of Belvedere, a lot of the individuals that do the work on the Habitat for Humanity homes are individuals that live in the city, and I can name them. I won't, but I can name them. And but I do believe that in the past, individuals that live in the city have also been future homeowners. I can think of a couple, but I certainly don't know all of them. But I will find out. I think on the sign it says future home for, and list probably the family. So I will inquire about that, and I'll get back to you. So, Alderman Peterson?
And I would offer that, you know, this is the type thing that it would eventually be paid back to the city, because it's gonna pay a higher city property tax than what the value of the property was before this happens. And I don't know if there's gonna be any trades, any contractors involved, or this is gonna be all volunteer help, like what it has been. But certainly it's economic activity that's welcome, and it's not a complete downside. But it did just strike me that there's a lot of people in town that have homes that have, have rot and decay and weatherization gone bad, and you feel bad that, that their taxes are gonna help to put somebody in a brand new, shiny, happy new house, and, that they didn't pay market rate for, but, I can see there's a big upside to this.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of well-known contractors that donate their time to do the mechanical stuff and the plumbing and the electrical, and I think a lot of the volunteers do the structural framing, insulation, little things like that. I believe Buffalo Contracting does the roof. Some pretty well-known contractors donate their time and materials for the projects.
It's not amateurs.
Not at all. No, they're real good about calling their inspections in, and it's turnkey when it's done.
All right. Any other questions, any other comments? Feel free to weigh in. We do have a motion on the floor. I will comment and say this. This is the correct way to bring a waiver of a permit fee that anybody's asking for, whether it be $880 or $211,000. That's how it should come to the council, and it should be the council's decision. So if there's no other discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? All right, motion passed, thank you. Item C, Planning Department update. Ms. Delrose, good evening.
Good evening. Bear with me, I have more agenda items than Brett for once, so. But for the monthly report, there was only one case in June, which was for the outdoor storage that the council voted on at the last meeting. I did talk to the applicant today. They're already making plans to paint the building and do other aesthetic improvements on site, so that will be a nice addition. No cases in July, and it seems like there may not be any cases in August, which is good because it's Fair Week, and getting a quorum during that week is always difficult. So you may have a light report for me next month as well. Site plans, just the commercial projects that Kit mentioned. Some downtown signage is going up for some businesses that are moving around down there. Historic preservation, reviewed the facade grant that you guys have next on the agenda, and worked on some of their fundraisers for July and August to raise funds for their facade grant program. Most of June was Heritage Days. It was a lot of prep work, chasing down last-minute contracts, insurance policies, permits, stuff like that. And then obviously Heritage Days itself, which went very, very well. Record-breaking T-shirt sales, record number of 5K. The foam party had the most kids ever. So it was just a very well-attended festival. So thank you for everyone that helped. And staff participated in the Chamber's Leadership Program, talked to about 30 people, so that was always a fun time. And that is it for the June report.
All right, if there's anybody who has any questions for Ms. Delrose, feel free to ask. I will say, Gina, I want to thank you for all the hard work you do every year with Heritage Days. And I want to thank Chief Shadle, Chief Woody. I want to thank Brent and the aldermen and women that also came and were on the float. Thank you, Alderwoman Frank, and thank you, Alderwoman Gramkowski and Alderman Stevens. I'm sure that some other aldermen were there. I may not have seen you. Oh, and Alderman Hoynes, yes. I should know that because I helped you get on the float. So, anyhow, thank you all. Thank you all for that. And it was a successful event. We had great weather and a great turnout. So, but Gina, you do an awful lot of hard work, and I certainly recognize you for that, and thank you for that. All right, moving on, item D, the Downtown Facade Improvement Grant Program. Ms. Delrose?
Okay. So it's funny, it always seems like 1 year we have.
Oh, wait a minute. I forgot, Erica helped, and then how's that? Erica and Abby, and they helped tremendously, and here I left Erica stranded on Logan Avenue. So anyhow, but I apologize for that, but thank you, Erica and Abby as well. So I'm sorry, Gina, go ahead.
Problem. So with the facade grant, it always seems like one year we have limited applications, and the next year we have too many. It never really equals out very well, and this is the year to have too many. Out of the 114 eligible property owners, we received 12 applications requesting a total of $48,218.78. Unfortunately, we only have $27,373 to give out. For those unfamiliar with it, the dollar amount is determined by 0.5% of video gaming revenue. That is what funds this program. That's why every year the dollar amount changes. So out of the 12 applications received, 2 of them were for properties that received grants in the last 3 years. So they were not eligible for a grant this year. One was for a property that is not visible from State Street. Yes, it is a property that I'm excited that the property owner wants to restore and rehabilitate. However, when we have almost twice as much funds being requested than what's given out, decisions had to be made, and since that one is not visible from State Street, I recommended not awarding money to that one. So out of the remaining 9 properties, the awards based on how much the property owner has invested in their own funds, how large the project is, the impact it will make to downtown, and if the true intent of the project for facade versus something like signage or seal coating, fencing, stuff like that. So I'm going to quickly run down the list of 9. First, we have Moscato property at 103, 105 Buchanan, 508, 510 South State Street. It's the addresses because it's like an L-shaped building, so it has frontage along both. If you notice, they've already tuck pointed, painted, new windows, new doors. They've invested a lot on fixing up that building. All they were requesting was for hanging signs and awning work to be done. The facade grant is a little gray on signage. It says maintenance of existing signage is eligible, but it doesn't say anything about new signage. So they were requesting $4,311.28. Staff and Historic Preservation agreed with $1,400, which was covering the 50% for the awning. And then we have 124 Buchanan Street, which is the Jack Rose building. They want to replace the windows upstairs that are deteriorating. The wood is rotting, also tuck pointing. They did apply for a grant in the past, and it was a smaller amount because of unavailable funds, and it was not enough for her to be able to follow through with the project. So staff recommended $4,000, which is the full 50%. Hopefully that will be enough to be able to do the full project this year, because those windows are in need of repair. It'll make an impact. 126, 128 North State Street is replacing windows. This applicant got a grant 2 years ago, did not follow through with it. Their application said $7,000, but their estimates only came up to about $4,800, meaning the eligible amount would be $2,487.50. Staff recommended $1,723, which was kind of like the remaining balance after I did the other ones. Because yes, the project needs to be done, but in the past when we set aside money for them and it was not used, that money just got reabsorbed, because by the time they didn't do it, the grant cycle's over, we couldn't redistribute it. And I don't want other properties to lose out on money if it doesn't get utilized again. So that's staff's reasoning for the lesser amount. 130 South State Street, which is the PNC building, they are redoing their doors that face State Street. So they're requesting $3,750, which isn't the full 50%, but that's the amount he requested. So I will go with that amount. And staff recommended the full $3,750. 137 South State Street is the building next to the parking lot, next to the fire station. It's It was red brick, now it's like a gray front. He got a facade grant years ago, and he took off the fake front and restored the metal columns and put in some windows where it was really weathered. Now he wants to restore the windows on the other three sides and tuck point it. It'll make a big improvement. Those windows are either boarded up or are in very bad shape. Mr. Reyes does all the work himself, which is why his dollar amounts are lower than everybody else's, because it's in-house labor. So, his total project was gonna be just under 13,000. The facade caps out at 5,000. Staff is recommending 3,000. Because he did get grant money in the past to help for this specific building, so staff did lower the amount a little bit. 203 Logan Avenue is exterior painting. This is the Belvedere Funeral Home. The total project is just under 19,000. Because of the size of the property, the grant maxes out at 7,500. She has received a little over 7,000 in the past for other projects. If anyone's been following the Belvedere Funeral Home, she has done substantial amount of work in the past 5 or so years. It seems like every year there's a new project. So, because she did receive money in the past, and again, trying to have as many projects funded as possible, staff recommended dropping it from 7,500 to 5,000. 209 South State Street, this is a property that has applied for grants in the past, got awarded, did not utilize them. Instead of, in the past, they wanted to do windows and overhangs, now they switched it to the front steps and tuck pointing, because their front steps are deteriorating to the point where they're not fully functional. Again, a lot of their labor is done in-house, so it keeps the prices down, costs down. They're recommending, they requested $2,295. Staff is recommending $2,000, which is almost the full 50%. 214 North State Street, this is that little building. It used to be red and yellow, and it was a car sales lot. Now it's blue. It's currently vacant. The new owners, there is a broken window, some broken masonry on the front. She wanted a seal coat. She wanted to repair a fence. She wanted to remove a tree. I mean, kudos to her. She really wants to fix up that lot. So, love it. Unfortunately, tree removal and seal coating is not an eligible project. So, but fixing the broken window, fixing the facade, and existing fencing is an eligible facade project. So, I tried going through her invoices, figuring out how much of it was for each item, and it comes out to be about 3,250 would be the 50% mark for the eligible projects. Staff is recommending 2,000. A little less because, again, stuff like fencing, and even though it's an eligible project, is it going to have the same impact as tuck pointing and taking out boarded up windows and putting in new actual windows, stuff like that. So I did drop it a little bit to allow funding for the more impactful programs. And then 155 Commercial Alley, that is the one that staff recommended not, and I am missing one, so give me a second. 520 South State Street, my bad. So this is Moscato's Pizzeria. They redid their whole front facade on the lower level years ago. Now they want to tuck point, paint, repair the windows and stuff on the upper story. Total project was gonna be 9,000, so half is 45. I did recommend full amount. That's also one of the reasons why I was okay with recommending a smaller amount for their other project, because they basically had 2 projects going. So all that together equaled the $27,373. Any questions?
Thank you, Mayor. So the PNC Bank building, is that the front or the back doors?
It is the front doors facing State Street.
Gina, does the 50% grant threshold, is that an absolute? And the reason I ask is it seems like one of the more appealing improvements that could be made is where in your grant parameters it says examples of eligible projects, removal of inappropriate features such as siding and modern awnings that are not similar to the aesthetic design of the original structure. And it seems like if it would be possible, you could really get some better traction if you would be willing to even go a higher percent and really try to promote that to get rid of some of the 1950s and 1960s siding that was put on to avoid the tuck pointing and some of the other work that needed to be done.
The ordinance that adopted, created the grant project, it specifically stated 50/50 reimbursement up to 5,000 unless the property was wider than, I think it's 50 feet, then it would be up to 7,500. But it did specifically state 50/50 in the ordinance creating the program.
Does that need to be upped?
Say if you up it, then every year, if you're giving out greater dollar amounts and you have always more people asking than what's funded, it's harder decisions as well every year. This kind of helps spread the wealth so that more projects could be done.
Okay. All righty. Any other questions for Ms. Delrose? Alderman Fleury.
Thank you, Mayor. So for the residents that have applied for it, earned the grant, didn't use it, now they've reapplied, and, you being a fair process of that. But going forward, if they don't use the grant again, is there any kind of, maybe they don't get it the next time, or just a better communication, that way you can award it to somebody else? I understand that sometimes the projects don't work out because it doesn't cover as much, but that way you can reapply that to folks that are looking to use that money.
So there's nothing in the ordinance that created the grant program. I will notify them of how much is coming. If they write back saying thanks, but I can't do it, then I would bring it to council right away for redistribution. Unfortunately, oftentimes they say, okay, great, I'll still make it work, and then it doesn't. So they do have 6 months to do the project. And then at the 6 months mark, everyone that has not started, I send them a letter, hey, are you gonna be doing this? Is there a reason why? And sometimes they'll say, oh, waiting on materials, or for instance, Raul, who's a tuck pointer, he's like one of the only ones. So last year, all 4 of the projects were his, so we just had to wait for him to finish one after another. I believe he did yours in between 2 of them. So, I mean, he's great at his job. So sometimes it's just scheduling issues. I had one that kept saying, oh, I'm gonna do it, and then it was like 2 weeks later, there was an excuse after excuse after excuse. But unfortunately, by that point, it's really too late to redistribute or redo, because by the time it would get voted on and approved, you're out of that grant cycle. But like I said, the ones that have had it approved and didn't use it, that is one of the reasons why I'm recommending the lower amounts. And if it happens first time, okay, stuff happens, I'll give it to you. If it happens again the second time, staff would be recommending not funding at all, as a repercussion for that behavior in the past.
Okay. Alderman Peterson.
And just another comment for your consideration, Gina. This has been going on as a lifelong resident. This has been going on in Belvedere since the 80s, and they employed somebody named Bob Teska and PGAV, and they prepared numerous plans. And Teska even made concept drawings of all the facades up and down State Street. And his analysis was that because it's a rectilinear kind of laid out rectilinearly, there's a lot of buildings to try to save. But I will say, it seems like in the 40 years since Belvedere's grappled with this, we haven't made a lot of really good progress to try to de-1950s and 60s siding the appeal of the downtown. I mean, maybe it would be a good idea to increase the percentage we're willing to fund, even if we can only do several buildings per year, at least eventually. We're going to get there, and it seems like now we're just kind of piecemealing it, and it's windows here and front doors there, and I just don't know if we're getting much traction.
I would respectfully disagree on some of those aspects. In the 18 years I've been here, I've seen some significant changes on the downtown buildings. Some, unfortunately, we do have absentee landlords that no matter how many incentives we throw, there's just not going to be changes. But there's been a significant amount of tuck pointing and repainting since I've been here. In the past, there has been a TIF district that helped fund projects that has expired. The majority of the buildings downtown are also a national registry, which offsets a large amount of a project. They can get up to 50% tax credits, and that would pay for inside, outside, not just facade, rewiring, reflooring, replumbing, all that stuff, and that is regularly provided to the property owners. And for one reason or another, they have not taken advantage of that funding either. So knowing that they haven't taken advantage of that funding, I'm not sure if we increase this amount, if they would take advantage of this one either. Some unfortunately just do not want to be bothered by improvements, and then others are happy to do whatever they can.
Okay. All righty. Any other comments, any other questions for Ms. Delrose? We do need a motion on the floor regarding to approve the following grant awards for a total of $27,373. It lists the 9 down below it. Motion by Alderman Peterson, thank you, and a second by Alderman McGee. Thank you both. Any other questions, any comments? Feel free to weigh in. All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed, motion passed. Thank you. And item 2E, 2F, and 2G are all appointments. In your packet is a memo from myself. First, 2E, regarding the appointment of Alexandra Sandy Omeotech. And that would be a appointment to the Belvedere Historic Preservation Committee that's comprised of 7 members, each serving a 3-year term. Ms. Omeotech is requesting to be appointed with a term ending on April 30th, 2028. She has experience with upkeeping historic homes and researching properties, peoples, and events. The requested motion to consent to and approve the appointment of Mrs. Alexandra Omeotech to the Belvedere Historic Preservation Commission for a 3-year term ending April 30th of 2028. If I could have a motion to that effect. Motion by Alderwoman Frank, thank you. Second by Alderman Stevens, thank you both. Any questions, any comments regarding that appointment and the motion on the floor? Feel free to ask. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? All right, motion passed, thank you. And then item 2F, in your packet is a memo dated July 2nd of 2025 from myself regarding, to the City Council regarding the appointment of Lisa Kumaro, that being the Belvedere Historic Preservation Commission, which is comprised of 7 members, each serving a 3-year term. Mrs. Kumaro is requesting to be appointed with a term ending on April 30th of 2028 again. Mrs. Kumaro has experience with upkeeping historic homes and community outreach, as they certainly live in one and own one. The requested motion would be to consent to and approve the appointment of Mrs. Lisa Kumaro to the Belvedere Historic Preservation Commission for a 3-year term ending April 30th, 2028. If I could have a motion to that effect. Motion by Alderwoman Gramkowski, second by Alderman Peterson. Thank you both. Any questions, any comments regarding the appointment of Mrs. Kumaro? Alderman Albertini?
Excuse me, I have no comment about this, I'm just gonna ask if I can excuse myself.
Oh, sure. Uh-huh. All right, we have that motion on the floor. If there's any questions regarding that appointment, feel free to ask. If not, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed, motion passed. Thank you. And last, on the appointment is 2G, that being the reappointment of Paul Engelman. In your packet is a memo from myself dated July 2nd, 2025, to reappoint Paul Engelman to the Belvedere Planning Zoning Commission, which is comprised of 7 members, each serving a 5-year term. Paul Engelman is serving a term that expired in May and has agreed to serve another 5-year term ending 2030. He has a long history of serving the community through various roles. The requested motion, I would ask, is a motion to consent to and approve the appointment of Mr. Paul Engelman to the Belvedere Planning Zoning Commission for a 5-year term ending on May of 2030. If I could have a motion to that effect. Motion by Alderman Peterson, thank you. Second by Alderman Stevens, thank you both. Any questions regarding the appointment of Mr. Engelmann? Feel free to weigh in if there's something somebody knows that I don't. All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed, motion passed. Thank you. Moving on, Public Works, unfinished business, we have none. Item 4, Public Works new business. Item A, Public Works Department update. Director Anderson, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Thank you. First thing, the city was a participant in, there's currently two class action lawsuits out there regarding PFAS. One is through 3M and DuPont, and the second one is through Tyco and BASF. We submitted the required information, and we did receive settlement on the 3M DuPont portion, and that was in the amount of $100,962.56. The Tyco BASF has been submitted, all that information there, just we're waiting back on the results on that one. So that's the status on that PFAS lawsuits. We have 3 bid openings upcoming for projects that we've talked about. The bollards installation in the downtown area is July 22nd. Our phase 2 of the manhole adjustments will be on July 29th. And the 7th and Allen Pond project will be on August 5th. Our overlays, our summer overlays will be done in August. As soon as I get the specific date from we have our pre-construction meeting with the contractor. We'll get those out to the public and put it on the city's website, and also provide information door to door for those streets that are on the overlay list. And we did get our, back on the water side, we did get our loan agreement from the state, and it's been signed and sent back down, so it's fully signed, and we sent the notice of award to the contractor last week. So hopefully within the next 30 to 45 days, we'll be starting construction on our new well 11 facility. And that's all I have. Any questions?
All right, if anybody has any questions for Director Anderson, feel free to ask. Okay, thank you, Brent. Item B, Baxter and Woodman is here this evening regarding, to go over a facility plan improvement options and funding presentation regarding a wastewater treatment plant. Director Anderson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Council had approved our facility plan update for our wastewater treatment plant, taking a look at the future, what the needs were down there, and specifically how we were going to address the new requirements coming down from IEPA regarding phosphorus and nitrogen. That work has been completed, and Baxter Woodman is here tonight to give that presentation to council. Brent Purse from Baxter Woodman will be leading that discussion show, and come on up, Brent.
Hi, Brent. Good evening. Good to see you. If you just state your name and.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, Brent, thank you for that intro. And I'm Brent Purse with Baxter Woodman. I've been there for 20 years. We kind of came up through the wastewater, and now I'm the vice president of our water group. Been working here at Baxter Woodman probably for my entire career, so really like being here tonight. So I'm going to touch on our wastewater facility plan. We're going to look at improvement options, and we're going to talk about some of the funding opportunities available. Not advancing.
There we go.
There we go. Cool. Made it past technical difficulties. All right. First one to start off with our purpose and agenda. As you can see, our treatment plan is the photo aerial on the right. We're going to review some of the existing site, some of the improvement options, and then as Brent mentioned, we're going to talk about special condition 22. This is the future limit that wastewater treatment plants are required to meet for phosphorus that is discharged to the river. Through some details I'll go through later, we can delay that to 2035. We needed to submit our facility plan to IEPA to meet those regulations and also to be eligible for some of the low interest funds that are available out there. We're looking at a 20-year window. That is the funding or their requirement to look at a planning period. So there's some big picture, long-term things along with meeting some of the current regulations that are upcoming. We developed our costs and looked at some of the funding options to help the city facilitate planning for some of these improvements. The two big drivers are the regulatory requirements. IEPA has put into all permits statewide that there is going to be future phosphorus regulations. So it's a new nutrient that the wastewater treatment plant needs to remove prior to discharging water to the Kishwaukee River. And then also age and existing conditions of existing infrastructure, just to renew that to make sure there's a 20-year life for the treatment plant. We did hear there were some tours going on at the treatment plant, so I'm sure some people are familiar. The image on the right here is the wastewater treatment plant. It includes both the solids and liquid handling facility. And then the smaller image on the right is the excess flow lagoon. So that's meant to store and capture some of those peak flows that you guys have probably seen with some of the rain events recently. The treatment plant's limited in terms of the flow that can go through it, so that's a kind of a safety mechanism to make sure that they can maintain the treatment and they aren't washing out their biology there. In terms of the details for Special Condition 22, I did want to include the language that is included in their permit. The first A item refers to the actual limit that they will need to meet. This is the 0.5 milligrams per liter of total phosphorus. So currently there is no limit at the treatment plant, so this is a new contaminant that they will need to remove. So we need to make some process modifications. And then item B is the timing that it is required to meet this. So the normal requirement is by 2030, but this facility plan that we completed was submitted to IEPA, so we got that delayed to 2035. This allows the city of Belvidere more time to plan and accommodate for these improvements moving forward. In addition to phosphorus, there is indications from IEPA that total nitrogen is likely the next limit that could be included in this permit. So in our evaluations, we were including our improvements to include phosphorus now and then easily accommodate total nitrogen in the future when it does come down the line. This is maybe my passion. I'm going to touch base on a couple of things. So this is the biological phosphorus removal process. So this is using the microorganisms that are in the wastewater to biologically remove this contaminant. The two things I wanted to highlight was this first box on the far left. This is the anaerobic zone. So what's really cool is we're not adding any air. We're really imparting very limited energy. So this is promoting the phosphorus accumulating organisms and allowing this process to actually occur downstream. The odd thing here is that we are actually releasing more phosphorus into the water, which sounds counterintuitive. But once you get to the oxic state, which is the box kind of second from the right, where we're blowing air in there, the bugs are breathing and they actually have luxury uptake. So they consume much more phosphorus that is in the wastewater than they release. So we're getting more uptake than what they release, so we're actually removing it from the liquid. And then the key thing is on the settler on the right, those solids and those microorganisms that just accumulated that phosphorus are settling out. So that's where we're separating the liquid and solids there. I think I'll end there. We can always have some more discussion if we have some specific questions, but those are the key components for the biological process. I did want to show kind of how that is incorporated into the existing tankage at Belvidere. So they have two parallel 3-pass aeration tanks, and we're able to incorporate those zones that we mentioned there with adding some baffle walls to the existing tank. You can see the image on the right, we have an anaerobic zone. This is where we have no diffusers, or we're not adding oxygen. We'll likely just have mixers there. Downstream of that, we have anoxic and then aerobic zones to get that luxury phosphorus uptake. Instead of diffused air, we will have mixers in unaerated zones just to keep the liquid and solids in suspension. So I guess you guys have a lot of the infrastructure there. We're just changing out some equipment and doing some small retrofit to make this process occur. In terms of our facility plan report summary, we outlined 3 phases to prioritize improvements. Phase one is the headworks. This is the screening and grit removal. This kind of protects the remaining piece of the treatment plant from the large abrasives that are coming in. Phase two is solids handling, which is kind of once all the solids are separated out, we digest those, and then those are applied to farm fields for land application. And then phase three is the BNR component. And then the costs on the bottom are the capital costs for each one of those improvements. And in terms of going back to our existing site, the facility plan really touched almost every piece of structure, tankage, and pieces of equipment. You can see the couple pieces at the treatment plant site are the primary clarifiers, and digesters are the circles that don't have any highlights. That's because we just completed improvements there recently. A lot of the existing infrastructure is going to be reutilized, just updating equipment to provide the necessary treatment for phosphorus. And then on the right is the excess flow lagoon, which has kind of reached its end of its useful life there.
And I can add, looking at that map, particular attention to the fact that all the proposed improvements are on the existing site. The city, many years ago, we purchased the 19 acres across the road for future expansion of this project. And everything that's contemplated tonight, that we're talking about tonight, does not increase our capacity at the treatment plant. It basically just updates what we have at the plant to operate under the capacity that we currently have. So we still, by being able to orientate things on and update things on the existing site, that still leaves the entire site for future expansion as we need it down the road. And you know, we've been talking about possibly sending some of the stuff to Four Rivers based on elevations and based on practicality. That's still an option. It still exists. We'll still be looking at that to proceed to do that. But we will still need the property across the street for future capacity improvements. So again, keeping everything on the existing site helps future down the road.
Thanks, Brent. And I forgot to mention, if anyone has questions, I'm glad to answer them as we go through. I know saving it to the end, a lot of times I get distracted when I do that.
I just noticed on page 7, the presentation doesn't match what our papers say.
I had made some updates, some minor updates.
Fine, they're not that.
I can always provide this too afterwards. All right. Good catch there. All right. So this facility plan, one of the main goals was to delay that special condition, but it was also to get us eligible for IEPA low interest funds. IEPA has a program that they provide a pool of money that is eligible to communities at an extremely low interest rate. So they set that at 1/2 the interest rate for the 20 obligation bond buyer index from the previous year. So in fiscal year 2024, it was 1.81, 2025, 1.87, and this year it was supposed to be established on July 1st. It was delayed, but it's 2.16 for this year. So it's extremely low. It is a great opportunity to fund these large improvements at a very reduced interest rate. One of the things with a very low interest rate, it is a competitive scoring system. So they've established scoring criteria or categories. The first is violations. If you're correcting violations, you can get some points. So each one of these categories, you get scored points, and then they fund the highest point values for each project until they run out of money. The next is unsewered communities or consolidation. We have water quality improvements, protection of assets, which is like resiliency and like backup generation and spare tankage. We have conservation and green infrastructure. So this is doing like green improvements, whether it be infiltration, green roofs, or other items there. Readiness to proceed. So this is them wanting to make sure you're ready to move forward. They're not going to authorize loan funds if you're still in a planning stage. And then also we look at economic factors of the community, of whether you guys are in need, and the population. So there's some things we can control and some things we can't. So fiscal year 25, the minimum score that was funded was 360. Then the draft for this year, which is fiscal year 26, was 440. That just came out, it was 405. So it came down a little bit, but it is moving up. So it is showing that the program is very competitive there. One of the items I'm going to go through a little bit later is we were coming up with strategies to make sure that Belvedere has the highest potential to receive these funds. So we evaluated additional scope items that were kind of outside our facility plan that would give you guys additional points and increases the chances for funding. The first was the solar. So in the scoring criteria, if you can reduce your power usage by 20%, you get an additional 25 points. So we've done this before in other projects where we've installed solar. You guys can reduce your power by 20% to reduce those annual costs, and also use that to increase your score to be more likely to be funded. Also, sewer lining to reduce SSOs and basement backups is a big one. So we've been able to incorporate some of the improvements within the community, not just at the treatment plant, and increase funds there. And then the last one is one or more agricultural BMPs. So this is like buffer strips between drainage ways to reduce any runoff. So if we're going to be doing some sort of solar, we can always make some buffer strips to reduce runoff to get some 15 points there. So looking at our loan priority score for our facility plan, we have our first 3 phases that we originally looked at in the facility plan, along with the scoring categories. And I just wanted to go through, I have each category scored individually, but I want to go through the total points. Those range from 355 to 430 for those 3 phases. So there is not a high potential with just those 3 phases separated out. When you combine them, you're still at that 430 range. So we were trying to figure out, like, how can we better increase the probability of getting these funds? So with those additional scope items that I talked about on the previous slide, that can add 115 points and get you to 545. So that increases the probability of receiving these low interest funds. I did want to summarize the costs that are broken down for each one of these phases, and then also the combined phases, and then combined with additional scope. So looking at the total capital cost, the phase 1, 22 million, phase 2, 52 million, phase 3 is 16 million, with a combined of just under 83 million. So some pretty big numbers. The additional scope bumps it up to just above 87 million. So not a huge cost there, but there is some significant financial savings to increasing that potential to receive that low interest loan. I did also want to give a breakdown of kind of where these improvements are allocated. So the pie chart on the left is kind of dividing up those major costs. And the first one is in blue, which is required to comply with the IEPA permit. So this is the headworks protecting all the downstream equipment, the B&R process, solids handling to support this additional solids, and we've also included some of the solar and sewer lining and agricultural BMPs there. So that's a huge component of it. Also in the facility plan is end of useful life. That's that next component in orange. So this is kind of the equipment and structures that need to be replaced to maintain their useful life for the next 20 years. And then we also have other operational and process building improvements. So we did conversion of chlorine disinfection to UV, a smaller blower to maintain some process and reduce energy usage, and then some lab improvements there. Not related to any permit items, but definitely kind of needed for the facility. I guess the big takeaway here is a lot of the new permit limits coming down the line have a big impact on your treatment process. I did want to emphasize or kind of go through some of the financial benefits of the IEPA low interest loan. There's a couple rows I want you to focus on. I have the row 3, which is the interest rate. So I have phases 1, 2, 3, and the combined phase all at 6%. So this is kind of like a standard interest rate, whether you're getting an obligation bond, whether you're doing a line of credit. It can vary maybe as low as 4.5% up to probably above 6%, depending on credit scores and other factors. But that would be a cost, a financial cost, if you were not able to use the IEPA low interest loan. For the last column, which is the combined phase and additional scope, I hit in there 2% for financing those costs. This year was 2.16, so I was close to the estimate. And every year they reset that on July 1st. So it's an annual thing, so I'm not sure what it will be in a couple of years, but it's generally a very, very low interest rate. And then I do have the annual repayments for each of those at the interest rates, and then the total cost of annual repayment. So with the combined phases and the additional scope at that reduced interest rate, it's projecting to save over $63 million in financing costs over the life of the loan. These are long-term loans, they're 30-year loans, because most of our infrastructure, being pipe and concrete, have a longer life than that. So they're willing to give out 30-year loans for the IEPA. All right. In addition to some of the financing costs, there's going to be significant operational benefits for the larger project. First off is the reduced power. With the solar, you're going to 20% reduction in energy usage. And also our B&R process better utilizes the air that we put into the treatment, so it's reducing our aeration costs. We'll have reduced sludge hauling costs with some of the infrastructure we have for digestion. With newer infrastructure, we're going to have reduced maintenance and emergency repairs on a lot of the equipment that's end of useful life. Also, for a larger project, we're going to have a single contractor, one kind of mobilization, one overhead and profit. So combining all those also reduces the construction costs. In addition to that, we are completing these kind of ahead of schedule a little bit, which reduces some of the inflation costs to complete these improvements now rather than wait multiple years to do it. And then lastly, for operations, this is a new biological process, so it does allow operations staff time to optimize their treatment process to make sure that the permit can be met when it does come into effect in 2035. In terms of estimated schedule, 2035 seems like a long ways away. Design and construction of these larger projects really takes significant schedule. So we have a 2.5-year design from fall of 25 to spring of 28. We have 3 years in construction from spring of 28, or starting in summer of 28 to summer of 2031. And then that gets you done ahead of your requirement of 2035. And with the IEPA loan, once you meet substantial completion, any repayment of that loan is 12 months after substantial completion. So that has start to pay for these funds in 2032. So that allows 6 years to kind of financially plan for some of these larger capital improvements. So I guess in conclusions and recommendations, completing all 3 phases and the additional scope maximizes the probability to receive these low interest funds. They do save the city significantly in terms of financing costs. Operations staff will also see significant improvements in terms of operations and operational costs. And due to all that, we're recommending completing all 3 phases along with the additional scope to maximize the potential to receive the IEPA low interest funds. I think with that, I'm done with my presentation.
Okay.
Questions?
Sure. Alderman Peterson.
Brandon, what percent is the treatment plant at daily operating capacity right now, would you say, in general?
We are permitted for 5.9 MGD, and right now we're about 2.2, probably on an average day.
And with the growth that you can project, how far into our 30-year repayment would you think we would be before we'd be wanting to look at the capacity issues again? The reason I'm asking is, does it make sense to consider the phosphorus and nitrogen now in addition to capacity? Are we missing the boat by not factoring that in right now instead of looking at the property across the street and whatever that would entail? Can we do some of this now with this expansion?
No, we really can't, because the phosphorus and nitrogen are new requirements that are being placed upon us by IEPA. So no matter what we look at for capacity, they're 2 separate issues. It's compliance. We have to have compliance with these new requirements no matter what we do. So that where it comes back into the question on perhaps sending some of our waste to Four Rivers and having that partnership there for development that would come up with the new interchange, the Irene Road interchange in that area to the west. We also have some things happening in the east, and as those things happen in the east, we will be looking at possibly having to expand depending on what comes. But development's going to drive that issue right now. Even if, with Chrysler coming back online, with a new Walmart, with the growth that we've seen so far, we're still going to have enough room capacity-wise with the existing plant to handle those. We'll have to see what comes down in the future. But no, as far as the dollars go in this project, the majority of that cost is tied directly to those new requirements coming down from EPA.
If I could just add, I was disappointed that the IEPA scoring criteria didn't consider your capacity limitations in addition to everything else. Capacity was no part of their scoring at all.
Can I maybe add to that? The one thing that they do score on is population. So your population in your community is kind of related to the capacity or how much wastewater you're treating. And I guess IEPA scores the smaller the community, the higher score. So some of the larger communities that maybe have a bigger pool of people to spread these costs, they feel like it's less financially burdensome. So they're trying to fund some of the smaller communities' improvements.
Percentage of federal poverty guidelines get considered in that computation too?
In terms of the economic factors, they do look at the unemployment rate and the median household income for scoring also.
I would think that would help us.
It has helped you in the past. That is a very hard one to predict in terms of when they look at that unemployment rate and the median household income, but it has been advantageous for you in the past.
Okay. Alderwoman Frank first, then Alderman Albertini.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So on page 15, it talks about solar reduction, 20%. Is there a proposed place where you're going to put the solar?
We were actually looking at that site just to the south of Newburgh Road.
All right, thank you. Alderman Albertini.
Thank you. Mine's more of a statement than a question. It's refreshing to see somebody that's passionate about what they do as you are. Your presentation was very informative. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Any comments, any questions? I think, Brent, would you give us a little historical about some of the work that had previously, how long it had been since the plant had any significant upgrades? And we understand that there's going to be some compliance. What, 84%, I think in his slide, what we have is 82%. Here are actually requirements to comply with some of the EPA standards. So just to put it in perspective, how long has it been since we've had any improvements at our plant?
We've been making some rather, in terms of compared to this proposal, smaller improvements, as was highlighted with Brent in the one slide, were the facilities that were not highlighted. But as you can see in that one slide, if you want to go back, there's a lot of it that's red that hasn't been. The last time we did a major improvement at the wastewater treatment plant was 1984. We've got some improvements there that are still remaining from the 70s, early 70s, that are now included in this plan to replace. But again, the percentage, and that's why we outline those percentages, is end of useful life and IEPA requirements, because we've been doing a pretty good job of updating as we go to make that happen. But again, the last time we had was major improvements was 1984, and the majority of the plant was redone then. So we've definitely got our useful life out of those improvements. And again, it's now time to make those additional updates and comply with those requirements so we can maintain our IEPA permit for our wastewater discharge.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from anybody?
Next step in the process, this was basically for get this in front of the council for your information and contemplation. I'm sure you may have questions and stuff that come up after this. Once you get a chance to look through the report and stuff, so definitely give me a call. I'm available anytime for those discussions. And you'll be seeing a proposal from Baxter and Woodman brought for committee to begin this process for preliminary design work moving forward.
Okay. All righty. Do you have anything else to add?
I don't.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you to Baxter and Woodman, and Brent, thank you for all your work. It certainly is a long-range plan, but without it, we have, I think it's important that as you noted, the savings with the low-interest loans, those are significant, and us being able to take advantage of them is worth $63 million in this case. So I want to thank you for all the work you've done, and we'll continue on here. If anybody has any questions, you can call Director Anderson, and if he doesn't have the answer, he'll get them.
And note too, when we did the 84 plan, we used revenue bonds, sold revenue bonds back then to pay for that work in that instance. And as Brent alluded to in the presentation, the low interest loan, basically you can't beat it right now. And as long as the feds still supply the money to pay for that infrastructure and that program, everybody's going to take advantage of it, which is why you're seeing an increase in competition. It's the same funding that we utilized for our 2017 improvement project that we just completed. And one thing about another benefit, and hopefully it's still going to be there, again, we got 2.5 years before we actually get to the point of having a loan agreement, but they had principal forgiveness included as a part of that loan. So in our 2017 program, that was a 15% principal forgiveness. It's actually, on the water side, we've used that for our PFAS on well 11. So again, there's nothing quite like that on the sanitary sewer side yet, not to say that it might come up, and if it does, we may be able to take advantage of that. But in order to meet the deadlines, in order to put everything in place, we need to start now on this project.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Brent. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming here.
I forgot this.
All right. Sorry. All right, moving through the agenda 4C, we have leaf machine repair. In your packet was a memo from Director Anderson dated July 7th of 25 regarding leaf machine repair. Director Anderson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Memo in your packet. Our 2002 Dinkmar curb runner leaf machine has a sprung chassis and needs to be replaced. The cost of a new 2025 version is $79,800. Rather than purchase a new machine, we have the option to purchase a new chassis and install the motor and clutch assembly from our existing machine. The out-of-pocket expense for this option is $50,200. I would recommend approval of purchasing a replacement Dinkmar curb runner chassis from R Now Incorporated in the amount of $50,200. The chassis will be paid for from our Public Works impact fees, which has a current balance of approximately $60,000, and those are impact fees that have been accumulated over time as development, mainly residential development, has taken place in the city.
Okay. All right. If I could have a motion to that effect. Motion by Alderman Peterson, second by Alderman Stevens. Thank you both. Any questions regarding the motion? Feel free to ask. All right. Alderwoman Graham-Kowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Brent, how much life is left in the motor and the clutch assembly, do you think?
It's a little diesel motor, so it's got plenty of life left, and that's why we're recommending to go this route. And one of the other benefits it does is there's new Tier 4 emissions requirements on the new machines, and by going this route, we avoid all that, so that's a good thing.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And if there's any opposed, motion passed. Thank you. And next, 4D, main office building makeup air unit replacement at the wastewater treatment plant. Again, in your packet was a memo from Director Anderson dated July 9th of 25. Director Anderson.
Our 2012 Munters Makeup Air Unit that provides the heating in the office lab filter building at our wastewater treatment plant is beyond repair and needs to be replaced. We've received 2 proposals for that replacement. Cerrone Piping, $42,336. Helm Service, $57,030. I would recommend approval of the proposal from Cerrone Piping in the amount of $42,336 for the replacement of the MAU in the office lab filter building at the wastewater treatment plant. This work will be paid for from sewer depreciation line item 61-1790.
All right, if I could have a motion to that effect, please. Motion by Alderman Hoynes, thank you. Second by Alderman Peterson. Thank you both. Any questions regarding the low bid from Cerrone Piping, the motion on the floor? Feel free to comment, ask. If not, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed, motion passed. Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Anderson. Item 5, other unfinished business, we have none. Item 6, other new business. Item A, we have on the agenda 1% grocery tax. I had put a memo to the council dated June 25th of 2025. As we are aware, the state of Illinois has decided to eliminate the 1% grocery tax. I am inclined not to reinstate this tax on our residents. However, please review the subject information. I have added this to the agenda and would appreciate your thoughts. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So I had enclosed kind of a historical regarding the grocery tax, what it means, what it covers, and my thoughts. I'll tell you my thoughts with the grocery tax. There's very few taxes that affect our residents more than a grocery tax. When we look at taxation, we try and look at what are the essentials, what are the essentials and how do we tax them. The state of Illinois had decided that, quite frankly, I thought it was kind of a shell game, or it was a hat trick. They had decided that they were going to eliminate the 1%, this 1% tax, but they were also going to give the options for both home rule and non-home rule communities to, within a certain period of time, reinstate it. Of course, to me, that was a little bit of politics. They didn't want to, they wanted to obviously point to a tax decrease that they had done, even though, quite frankly, they had put 2 cents on a gallon of gas in the meantime. So I don't think there's anything that affects residents trying to make ends meet than being able to put food on the table. And that's why I'm inclined to take a look at when I looked at our finances, and I'm inclined not to reinstate this tax. But as you know, this tax is going to be somewhere between $600,000 to perhaps $900,000. It depends. But the question is, are we really going to affect individuals that probably would see a big advantage by not having to pay it? Those that are on the lowest end of the finance totem pole or scale, a lot of the individuals that can probably least afford to pay it, that may be on public aid or food stamps or whatever, they will not be affected. They will not pay it. But the individuals in the city of Belvedere and every other community, they will pay it. Senior citizens, hardworking people, people with families. So if we don't have to do it, I would be inclined not to, but that's up to the council. And I guess I would open up the discussion if I could get a motion on the floor. Motion by Alderwoman Frank, thank you, and a second by Alderman Peterson, thank you very much. Motion to not reinstate the grocery tax, the 1% grocery tax. Is that correct, Alderwoman Frank? Yes, and Alderman Peterson?
Yep, that's good.
Okay. All right, so that's kind of my thoughts behind it. There are other communities that don't feel that they can do without it, and that's their prerogative, and they may not be able to. So anyhow, if there's any questions, feel free to ask. Alderman Peterson?
For Attorney Drella, can this be revisited in other years? Is this a year-to-year thing, or is this a one and done?
No, you can revisit in the future.
So what about an increment? Does it have to be the 1%, or can you have anything less?
I don't recall, I have to look at that. I do know that if you don't adopt by certain points of the year, it will not be effective until about 6 months later.
No, you don't, I believe you do not have to, it doesn't have to be the 1%. You can revisit it, and it doesn't have to be the
max is
full
the
1%.
1%, though.
Yes.
Because I would agree with the mayor that, I can't think of very much that the city of Belvedere would dedicate the funds for that would be more important than a homeowner feeding his family, feeding his or her family or themselves.
You know, particularly since in the last 4 years, we've seen combined CPI index go to, what, 20.3% to 21.3%, depending on who you're asking. But we've seen a tremendous cost of living increase, and certainly that has been with groceries, with food, and all of the staples. So other things too, but on average, I think that's certainly true. Alderman Peterson?
And then just another comment that I think it gives us a competitive advantage if all the surrounding communities are deciding to keep this tax in place. It probably makes us much more appealing for the next big grocery chain that might consider, it certainly is going to give them a competitive edge that they probably could advertise, and they'd certainly want to be here because of our decision tonight and
I would agree.
next week.
I would agree. I think as we develop some of the property, for instance, out around the Walmart area, we've already received $3.8 million in funding for water and sewer improvements out there. I think you're going to see the city of Belvedere without a 1% grocery tax probably look a little bit more appealing to anybody who wants to make an economic development investment in a food store or what have you. So I think you're right. I think that's exactly right. Any other comments? Any other questions? We have a motion on the floor. Feel free to ask. Alderman Fleury.
Just to clarify, the motion is to not reinstate it. Yep, okay.
That's correct. If there are no other comments or questions, that's the motion on the floor. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed. All right, motion passed. Thank you. Item B, Growth Dimensions funding request. In your packet is a memo from City Attorney Drella dated July 9th of 2025, that being Growth Dimensions funding request. As you know, I do not have the authority. Some people think I do, but anything over $15,000, I don't have the authority to approve. That's why they should come to the council each and every time, and in this case they are. So the memo from City Attorney Drella says, attached is the annual funding request from Growth Dimensions. The fiscal year 2026 budget does contain sums to cover the request. However, as I've stated before, simply budgeting an amount does not authorize its expenditure. As the amount requested exceeds the mayor's spending authority for budgeted items, it requires separate council approval. So it's up to the pleasure of the council. If there's a motion someone would like to make, feel free. If you want to make a motion to pay the expenditure, $20,000, that would be appropriate, and that's up to the council. Motion by Alderman Fleury, and is there a second? Second by Alderman Hoynes. All right, we have a motion on the floor then to pay the requested budgeted amount of $20,000. If there's any comments, any questions, feel free. Alderman Albertini?
Thank you. In the original budget, did we budget money for Growth Dimensions, $4,000, I believe? Or no, or did we have nothing in the budget for Growth Dimensions?
You budgeted 20,000.
Oh, we did it originally, okay, I thought it was 4. So it's 20,000 was budgeted in the
It is.
original budget.
It is.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I have, I had, as you recall, the outgoing council, whenever they passed the budget, we had some discussion about this, and I had mentioned at the time that I was against paying it, the $20,000, and the council, on their way out the door, the council decided that they would go ahead and pay it. My thought behind it was I wanted to do more in-house. I think we can do more in-house, and I don't think it will cost us $20,000. I know there's been a dispute, or there's been some suggestion that It will cost a lot more than that. I don't believe it will, but, you know, I also believe that it would be good seed money here to do this in-house. So do I think we can do it in-house? I do. Have I thought we could do it in-house? I have. And it's up to the council this evening whether or not they want to do that, pay this or not. So we have a motion on the floor. If there's any other comments or questions, I'll try and answer them. And if anybody has any comments, feel free. Weigh in. All right, hearing none, we have a motion on the floor then to pay the $20,000 to Growth Dimensions. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed?
No.
All right, I would say the nays have it, but we'll do a roll call vote, and that way we'll have it accurate.
Albertini,
Aye.
Brereton,
Aye.
Flurry,
Aye.
Frank, Gramkowski,
Nay.
Hoynes,
Nay.
McGee,
Nay.
Montalbano,
Nay.
Peterson,
Nay.
Stevens.
No.
3 in favor.
All right, motion fails. Item C, Belvedere School District, District 100 Intergovernmental Agreement regarding SRO, School Resource Officer. In your packet was a memo from Chief Woody dated July 14th, 2025, regarding Belvedere School District 100 Intergovernmental Agreement. Chief Woody, good evening.
Evening, Mayor. Thank you. In your packets, you have for your review the proposed intergovernmental agreement for school resource officer, SRO, between Belvedere School District 100 and the City of Belvedere. The agreement highlights the SRO's area of responsibility being Belvedere High and Middle Schools. The SRO responsibilities within the schools are, in addition to many others, handling crimes in progress, responding to calls for service requiring a police report, community policing, building relationships with school staff and parents, developing rapport with students, and acting as a liaison between the police department and school district. The school district agrees to pay 70% of an average officer's compensation package as outlined in the agreement. The SRO will be scheduled August through May for a 42-hour work week, Monday through Friday, following the school district holiday schedule. June and July, the SRO is assigned to a regular patrol shift as well as conservation district. The school district can schedule the SRO for sports and activities as outlined in the agreement, agreeing to pay the SRO's overtime rate. This agreement's for a 3-year period, and either party can cancel the agreement with 60 days written notice. I would request a motion to authorize the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Belvedere and Belvedere School District number 100.
All right, if I could have a motion by Alderman Peterson, second by Alderman Stevens. Thank you both. Any questions, any comments regarding the motion on the floor? Feel free to ask. Alderman Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief, I was just gonna quiz you on the percentage that they would pay, because they're really gonna use our officer about 83% of the time, aren't they? Can we do something different with the percentage, or what was your take on it?
I have not broke it down to the percentage that they have it, but I can tell you that they save us more than 83% in terms of calls for service that they handle within the school district. The amount of time that the officer spends in that school saves our patrol officers from having to respond to school-related incidents. In addition to those calls for service that we encounter after school hours that we can then refer back to the SRO, we more than get our money's worth out of the school district as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions regarding the motion on the floor from anybody? Now's the time. All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion on the floor to authorize the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Belvedere and Belvedere School District 100, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? All right, motion passed, thank you. We also have item 6D. There's a motion to accept donation for the Belvedere Police Department K-9 program. In your packet was a memo from Chief Woody dated July 14th regarding this. Chief Woody?
Thank you again, Mayor. If you would, turn to the memo in your packets. The last couple of years, Myers Kennel has invited the Belvedere Police Department K-9 program to join them in their Dogs Day Out event. The event is geared towards members of the Winnebago and Boone County community to come out with their pets, talk with our K-9 officers, observe a K-9 demonstration. Myers Kennel encourages those in attendance to donate to the Belvedere Police K-9 program and ultimately matches the funds that are donated. This year, the Belvedere Police Department received a check from Myers Kennel Inc. in the amount of $501. I would request a motion to accept check number 27421 from Myers Kennel Inc. in the amount of $501 for the Belvedere Police Department K-9 program.
All right, motion by Alderwoman Gramkowski, second by Alderman Peterson. Thank you both. Any questions for Chief Woody regarding this donation? Feel free to ask or comment. All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? All right, motion passed. Chief, please thank Myers Kennel on my behalf and behalf of the City Council. Certainly appreciate the donation.
Yes, I will, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, then moving down the list here. We have motion to accept donation, approval resolution establishing a donation policy. In your packet is a memo again dated July 14th from Chief Woody regarding establishing a donation policy. We thought that might be a wise idea to get it in front of the council. In the past, there have been questions about donations and how they should be taken. Chief Woody?
Yeah, the last motion in part kind of prompts this request. So the police department has been actively pursuing donations for various projects within the police department to include the K-9 program. I've brought many of those requests back to council for approval. Part of that initiative, we've designed a quick response or QR code that allows individuals to donate directly to the city. The new process allows donors to give support to our department without having to have cash on hand, which is very convenient for those that want to continue to support the department. Due to this process, we've seen a significant number of donations that makes the typical council approval process more complicated. I would request the council consider approving the attached donation policy, allowing the acceptance of donations up to $500. I would request a motion to approve the resolution establishing a donation policy for the city of Belvedere.
All righty, could I have a motion to that effect? Motion by Alderman Stevens, second by Alderwoman Gramkowski. Thank you both. Any questions, any comments, or if the city attorney wanted to weigh in on this, he certainly may. Alderman Peterson.
Mayor, just a question maybe for Sarah, as far as the backup, is this, would we want to review this with the Sickich firm, or how do you want to, would you suggest that we back up any receipts coming into one department?
They're paid right now with our credit card processing, so we have all the receipts and do it like we do any other transaction.
The donations are made to the credit card account?
Or you can pay with your debit card or credit card, and it's treated like any other time someone makes that kind of payment.
Is that normally how the donations are paid?
When they use the QR code, yes.
Okay. Okay. All righty. Alderwoman Frank.
Thank you. Is there ever a problem like with a conflict of interest or impropriety?
Chief?
Yeah, and to safeguard against that, there's going to be multiple layers of checks and balances. Once these donations are submitted, because obviously, we're not always going to be aware of who's utilizing the QR code. The person responsible for monitoring them. For the police department, will have access to see who it is. The finance director will have access to see who it is. And then once a month, the council will also get a report for those transactions. If any one of those or multiple transactions are flagged by any one of those steps of checks and balances, we could always bring that to the council, review it, and if needed, we could always return those funds.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions regarding the motion on the floor? Feel free to ask. All right, hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 And if there are any opposed,
No.
motion passed. Thank you. All right, item F, Belvedere Police Department National Night Out Street Closure Request. Again, in your packet was a memo from Deputy Chief Smaha, Belvedere Police Department, regarding subject street closure request for National Night Out dated August 5th of 2025. Chief Woody?
Thanks again, Mayor. Belvedere Police Department respectfully requests a temporary closure of North Main Street between the intersections of East Perry Street and East Menominee Street on Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Closures being requested in support of National Night Out, annual community building campaign that promotes strong police-community partnerships and neighborhood camaraderie. The goal of National Night Out is to foster a safer, more caring community environment while strengthening relationships between residents and law enforcement. This year, the event will take place in Big Thunder Park and include a variety of community-focused activities such as canine demonstration, youth engagement events, cookouts, family-friendly festivities, visits from emergency personnel, community exhibits, and more. The requested street closure will allow for the safe parking and display of emergency vehicles, facilitate interaction between first responders and the community, and ensure a secure environment for all attendees. I would request a motion to close North Main Street between intersections of East Perry and East Menominee on Tuesday, August 5th, 2025, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m.
All right, if I could get a motion to that. Motion by Alderwoman Gramkowski, second by Alderman Stevens. Thank you both. So this is the second year, is that right, Chief, that we've had this at Big Thunder Park?
Yes, that is
our
correct, Mayor.
second year?
Yep.
And, we used to go and have neighborhoods go in different neighborhoods, and residents would have night out, and it worked pretty well, but I think this worked much better, and I think it was a good idea, and everybody can congregate, come to the park. I also think it's a great idea, and I want to thank you for it, because over the last 4 years, we've seen what a difficult time police have had in certain communities, and it's important, if you're going to have community policing, that you're able to reach out to the public. So I think you guys have been able to do that. We've been able to do that with this, and I want to thank you for that, because it hasn't been easy, as we know, but it is getting better, and I think this is a good start. So thank you. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the recognition, and that's in part to the community that we have and the support that they have for our department. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Deputy Chief Wallace and then Community Policing Coordinator Blankenship, who were integral in that capacity over the last several years, and now Deputy Chief Smaha and Community Policing Coordinator Bell, who really, and actually Officer Schwartz, who were instrumental in taking what we did do, which was going around to our neighborhood watch programs from neighborhood to neighborhood, who had cookouts and whatnot, and moving it more to a central location and getting everybody to come to us. This year, I think, is going to be a fantastic job, or a fantastic time. They've got a lot of games, food, canine demonstrations. So if people are available, I encourage you to come out. It was awesome last year, and I just anticipate it to be even better this year.
I agree. Thank you, Chief. Alderman Peterson, then Alderwoman Gramkowski.
Mayor, it's probably a given, but will you guys use the barricades? Will the concrete barricades go up to secure that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Good point. Alderwoman Gramkowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, last year was a great event. It was really nice. And also the fire hydrant event, that was very well attended, and it's always great to see kids out there with the fire and the police Those, I love those activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any comments? Any questions? Alderman Peterson?
One other suggestion, Chief, see if the Rock Valley Blood Mobile doesn't want to go down there and see if they can solicit some walk-ins.
Yeah, no, that's a great suggestion. Well, I just got an email today because I know they're doing Rockford Police and Rockford Fire this week, and we have it scheduled here in the near future, and I can get that out via email. But I'll see. Yeah, we can see if they're available then too.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Fleury?
Just a comment, just again, a compliment to you, Chief, and all your personnel. I know last year attended, it was a good turnout, and especially with what's going on north of town on that date, with the opening of the fair, to have that many people come out to the community to show their support, I think is a great testament to how professional our police force is here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman.
All right, so we have that motion on the floor. If there's any other comments or questions, now be the time. Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion on the floor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And if there's any opposed? All right, motion passed, thank you. Item G, at Fire Station 1, they have a sink and urinal replacement here on the agenda. So, Chief Shadle, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mayor. At Station 1, this is a two-part project, but we've budgeted in our maintenance budget this year to replace some of the flooring at the entry of Station 1. We have damaged tiles and stained carpeting in that area. It's been quite some time since it's been redone, and that goes into the bathrooms, which are right there. The urinal in the bathroom that we're talking about is a floor-style urinal. It's an old style. It's hard to clean. It's not as sanitary. We've already replaced the one at Station 2. So as part of that project to redo the floor, we thought it would be a good time to take the urinal off the floor and make it a normal, up-to-date urinal. So we reached out to a number of contractors. We successfully received 3 proposals. They're listed in that memo there. The proposal that I am recommending that we go with is from Jake Wacker Plumbing. It's significantly less than the others, and it includes everything else that the others included. So the recommended motion is a motion to accept the proposal from Jake Wacker Plumbing in the amount of $4,000 for the replacement of the urinal and sink in the men's bathroom at Station 1, with funding to be provided from the line item 01-5-220-6010.
All right, if I could have a motion by Alderman Stevens, second by Alderman McGee. Thank you both. Any questions for the chief? How old's that building, Chief? How old's that building? I don't know.
It's over 100 years.
Yeah. All right, so this is for the low bid of $4,000. As the chief had mentioned, we have that motion on the floor. If there's any other questions, feel free to ask, and now'll be the time. And hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And if there's any opposed? All right, motion passed, thank you. And that is it. I want to thank you for your patience this evening. I want to thank Baxter Woodman for coming here and helping us plan out our future in regards to being able to flush the toilet and treat wastewater treatment and all that stuff. Certainly appreciate it. And with that being said, if I could have a motion to adjourn, please. Motion by Alderman Peterson, second by Alderman McGee. Thank you both. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody want to stay? All right, for the record, we adjourned at 7, you're outvoted. For the record, we adjourned at 7:38 PM. Thank you, everybody, and have a good rest of your evening.